where Trump hits the golf ball and it hits Biden in the back of the head. He falls off the bike, right?
Oh, of course.
All right, we're rolling for YouTube right now, so the people who watch in there can see us.
Perfect.
We've got the 4 guests are in the studio waiting for their turn.
All right.
First off, let us know in the private chat. Is there anyone who's on a time limit and needs to leave early?
Yeah, go ahead and get them now.
So while I'm waiting for that, also we got depending on how long we go, if we need a little bit of filler, people have been sending me news articles by private chat on Migtown.tv. So I've got like, Miss Lex is writing her paper. Has about 45. All right, we'll do the Leximuses first and then Bowser after. That seems to be, and I think J Love can stick around, so can Marv. So we'll try that. But I got a pile of these news articles that are always fun to look at, right? It's either people being retarded or
probably do like a whole bonus episode of all the news article stuff. There's a lot happening, man. There's a lot of bizarro stories.
Yeah.
Shit. Let me see.
Oh, and Miss J Love jumped off. Okay.
She'll probably jump back on.
She probably. I don't think Miss J Love knows that in StreamYards, if you're on your phone, if you change apps to do something else, it will kick you out of StreamYard.
Oh, does it really?
Yeah, like StreamYard needs to be what's on your phone. It can't be in the background.
Oh, wow. What a shitty app, man.
I think that's by design. Oh, there she is. But yeah, Miss J Love, just so you know, if you change apps or if you put StreamYard in the background, it will kick you off the show. So it needs to be up front and center. But, oh, come on. People are doing some mushroom simping in the chat. No, guys, Rishi is not a real mushroom, all right? And no amount of simping will change that. By the way, I was on Chronic's show last night. He was talking about the relationships in the Western world. And we got way off topic, but apparently the SCOTUS decision is out either tomorrow or Friday at 10 a.m.
Oh, yeah.
The Roe v. Wade's decision. So that's going to be fun.
None of that will surprise me, to be honest with you, either way.
Oh, it won't. But it's going to be fun to watch. It's going to be fun to watch the protests burning down D.C. Because, I mean, it couldn't happen to a better city, right?
Well,
so, like, they're going on about the January 6th stuff. I really want to see Antifa and abortion protesters and feminists do the same thing. Storm the Capitol. I don't know, like force their way into the Supreme Court building. That would be something to watch. Anyways, Chronic's going to do a live stream. He's invited me on to, we're going to play some Antifa bingo.
Shit.
First up is the chances that someone gets hit by, that an Antifa guy gets smoked by a cop car.
I'm guessing high.
Yeah. So
Antifa's a joke.
I mean, just like Patriot Front, right? And the Boogaloo guys, they're all jokes.
Yeah, all Pride Boys. Yeah, these guys are clowns. A lot of them are glowies.
Yeah, half of them are FBI agents.
Yeah,
more.
Like, the fact that people haven't figured that out yet is still shocking to me.
Yeah, hey, here's a fun tip for those listening at home. If there's a guy who says, hey, let's go do this thing, and it sounds illegal to you, chances are it is, and that guy's just a Fed who's going to get you locked up in prison.
Yep. What was the name of that show? Was it Cop Car or Trap Car, whatever that stupid show is?
Oh.
Remember where the criminals go around and they end up getting caught up in the car, and they're like, oops, got him.
Yeah. Well, those bait, like they have bait cars here.
Yeah. That's the name of the show. Bait car. That's what it was.
I didn't know there was a show about it, but yeah, there are bait cars here in Calgary. They'll leave them in like the parking lots of the transit stations. and then they'll put something on top, like I don't know, they'll put the keys on top of the hood to make it look like someone forgot the keys.
Yep. And then these guys go in thinking, oh yeah, I just got a major score. Nope, you got jail time. Congrats. Yeah. That's why you should work for a living.
Where I grew up, it was very common just to steal a car, bring it out to the reserve, and set it on fire, just because. No reason. It's not like you could sell it. What are you going to do? Sell a car to a town of 100 people?
Right.
Good luck. Anyways, that was all pre-show banter, so let me hit the intro and we'll get into what the topic actually is today. Where did I put the intro? There it is. Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 82 of the Migtown podcast. Only make a source of the show that relationship is still going. Hey, relationships are dead, but the relationship you and I have, and you and Drex have, that relationship will be forever. As usual, I'm producer Tim. Joining me is the mayor of Migtown, Drexel. Say hi.
Hello, everybody. Happy Pride Month.
Oh, great. We're starting there, huh?
Yeah, we're going straight in for the gay shit. Because I mean, relationships have gotten gay to me. So this is actually pretty funny because what prompted this whole state of relationship, modern relationships. So what prompted this show, State of Relationships Part 1, State of Relationships Part 2, is there's a couple of things. I've been getting things from people like in my DMs. People will text me stuff and tell me about some wild stories or things I've said on this show or Nick's show. They go, Drex, that thing that you said whenever, dude, it turned out to be true. And I'm kind of like, oh, well, yeah, because this is where we're at, right? As a culture and as a society. And then there's one thing that really set me off. And I'm sure you guys heard about this struggle mixer that happened in Dallas. It's been going around everywhere. They try to come back and do the whole like, no, men showed up though. There are some dudes of the rainbow variety. There was some, just for men, overweight simps type looks, like no men that women want, right? And there was a whole lot of women, black women, whole lot of black women in that Texas heat with no damn man. And the reason why this is so important is that I want you guys to think about this for a second. If you watch that video, this is something that I posted up on Twitter. What makes this so funny is that you have these women out there, and women say that they're strong and independent, don't need no man. I don't need his money. I got my own money. They say that shit. But you notice about this mixer? When the woman sits there and she says, I'm at a mixer and there's no men, it's all women. She goes like this, and she puts her phone around, right? The reason why there's something very telling. One, the most undesired women on planet Earth, Black American women. Okay, that's the first thing that stands out. The next thing that stands out is the amount of women who are overweight, right? Kevin Samuels used to always say, right, be fit, right? He would say be feminine, right? And he was talking about be cooperative. Well, if there is one group of women who are allergic to all three of those things, it's Black women. So a lot of guys have talked about this. Shout out to all those guys, especially like in the Black manosphere, Jada Black, O'Shea Duke Jackson, Lion and Migtown. There's a lot of guys who have addressed this, right? And one of the other things that really stands out that doesn't get talked about enough, when all of these Black women, mostly overweight and looking terrible, struggling, weaving it up, what makes it so shocking is that they're sitting there. And you notice, Tim, let me ask you this. What do you think was on their table?
Well, their cell phone for one, and then a Diet Coke, I'm guessing.
Not even a Diet Coke. You know what was on their table? Not a goddamn thing. Now, Tim, can you tell me why that is?
Oh, because they didn't bring anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Metaphorical and literal.
Yeah, literally and metaphorically, right? So what you guys are starting to notice, and that's why I want you guys to really pay close attention to that video, right? Because this is what we've been saying in this space. when we talk about they don't offer anything and they're just looking for a free meal, like, this is a shout out to all those guys out there who have found the red pill and who have realized that they were getting used for years for foodie calls and all this shit. So this is for the ladies. The chickens have finally come home to roost, right? It's over. Okay. This is the dating apocalypse. This is the end game, right? When you look at these mixers, I mean, we all know the marriage rate's the lowest it's been in recorded history. So marriage is dead. So when we say, well, what about relationships? Okay, what about just people meeting in general? Well, you've outlawed it. Shout out to the country of Spain, that cucked country that now made basically, sex illegal, essentially, right? Because she can now retract consent because she felt that way. So now the chickens have come home to roost. This is the end, right? Everybody wanted to know, what does the end look like? Tim, do you remember that infamous line in Sons of Liberty? And that's how the world ends. Not with a bang, but a whimper, right?
Yeah.
There is no big bang. Do you notice that? You don't look up in the sky and go, shit, Tim, look. There's a meteor coming down to hit us, right? No. There's no meteor. These are the last days of a dying society, right?
The sound of a whimper was literally, where are all the good men?
Well,
that was the sound it made.
Or was it Coach Greg Adams' soundbite? What happened? Where did all the men go? See, this is it. When you guys look at that struggle mixer, Manosphere Daily Highlights talked about this. Here you got all these women, fat, overweight, looking terrible. Their
and they
table is bare.
Oh, the smell there, Drex.
The smell,
They don't know what deodorant is.
Oh yeah, I smell bacon. And shout out to all my Muslim brothers that were not there, because I know y'all don't do bacon, man. Well, good job, because you didn't have to deal with that damn struggle mixer. And the beauty of this is that here they were, no drinks on the table, no food on the table, because there was no men paying for their shit. So what we got here today in this part one, I'm gonna let you guys know what we're doing here. Part one and part two. I'm gonna cover every angle. There is only one angle I'm gonna tell you guys right now, so there's no spoilers. There's one angle that I cannot cover, and that is the lesbian angle, because we all know lesbians don't actually exist. So I'm gonna get you guys covered on every track. I got a man who's been married, right? Married and widowed. We got single bachelor. We've got a long-term relationship couple, unmarried. And then, of course, we're going to hear from the women's perspective, right? And the gay community. We want to know what goes on there, what are the similarities and differences in this dating apocalypse. I'm going to make sure I cover every single base. I want people to know exactly what's going on right here, right now, 2022. There's sugar baby, sugar daddy relationships out here. I want people to understand what that is going to be, because one of our next guests will be long-awaited guest is going to be our swinger girl. So our swinging Barbie doll is going to be over. So I want to really hammer home relationships before we get into like the next segment of the show, which will also include a lot of fitness stuff. So without further ado, we're going to get right into the current state of relationships in 2022. So, Tim, who do we got first in our queue?
First up, Mr. and Miss Leximus.
There they are. Welcome.
Falling down a flight of stairs by the sounds of it.
Oh no, just moving my chair.
Hey everyone.
Miss Lex, Mr. Lex. It's always great to have you guys on. I know everyone's been busy, summer rush and all that. There's quite a bit of things that I think you guys, your relationship, if you guys recall, I love that artwork, by the way. You guys were the first real mix up in the show's format when I first invited you guys on all that time ago, because let's face it, in that amount of time, how many people did you guys know that were in a relationship that are no longer in one since your guys' first appearance?
Let me think.
Oh, it's been over a year now.
Yep. Yeah, it was in April of last
something.
year we did it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking.
Only one couple I still know are still together.
Ain't that some shit? Well, because most of them don't last.
Out of 20, a dozen.
I'm being real. What do you guys think is the number of couples that you guys know, that you knew then, that you kind of know now? How many of those? You said you could think about one, but how many of them do you guys remember just in that time period from a year ago?
20.
20 couples. So one made it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's 5%.
I can't think of one, honestly.
That's a 5% success rate, right? 1 out of 20 is 5%.
Honestly, that's highballing it too.
You know,
Holy shit.
That's just in our area too. So you have
But that's what I'm saying. Like, hey, Lex, let's broaden, let's get that radius, right? Let's do this. Right? This is like a Tinder bubble, right? When people want to fly in and they want to go ahead and clap some cheeks, but they want to broaden that horizon, right? I want you guys to give us a little insight. Obviously, you know, a lot of couples did make it. One of the things a lot of people don't know is that like most relationships in general, right, don't actually make it even a year. Most couples don't have a 1-year anniversary anymore. Those days are over.
They really don't.
For the most part. You know? And there's some things that I want you guys to talk about. And first and foremost is I want to ask you guys about standards and expectations of your relationship, right?
Do you want to go first?
I'm simple. I'm very simple. I just, you know, I love having her around with me, you know, being there, being my companion, my partner, my, you know, the strength when I need to keep going on when I'm going through hard times, or, you know, when I feel like the whole world's falling around, a part of me, she's there to help me, you know, keep my spirits up and be that strength, that rock that I need. Sometimes when I think that the whole world's on me, she's there to calm me down and, you know, reassure me that everything will be all right.
Your emotional support.
Yes.
Oh, that's sweet. Well, it's sweet because here's the thing. If we were to think about expectations, right? They come from like you know, Lex, you talk about that pressure, right? That pressure comes from different places, right? It's like the pressure we put on ourselves. It's family and friends put expectations and pressure on us, right? And then society at large does it, right? That's why they're like, the man's supposed to do this, or hey, girl, you better blah, 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 blah. Like, let me ask you guys this, Miss Lex, what do you think about outside forces and how they impact a long-term relationship like you and Mr. Lex?
It can be damaging, but that also depends on the woman itself too. If she allows herself to be influenced. Because I've heard from family, friends, like, oh, what are you doing? It's either break up with him, go do whatever you want with other people, make sure, you know, you do what you do. And then
who says that the most, Miss Lex? Like who like what people out there are like putting that in your head, or like women's head in general?
Females that are older than me at school.
How single are they though? Are they single females?
Yeah, all of them.
You're bad in 1,000, Drex. You're bad in 1,000.
Yeah. And then when it goes to like my family, since they're very old school, they don't really tell me like, oh, like do that. But it's more of just like, make sure he's the one, make sure you have, you know, the 3 things in a relationship. What my mom always told me, like, make sure you're in love with them. There's an attraction. You remember the third one that I told you?
Trust.
And there has to be trust between you.
There really does. Well, I want to go into detail on that though. Trust is something that I think there's a few things that has truly ruined trust in modern relationships. And Miss Lex, what do you think the impact of social media has had on the trust in relationships?
Well, it goes either way with boys and girls, because guys follow girls, girls follow boys, and insecurity can withhold and have an impact on that. Be like, oh, why are you looking at her profile? Why are you doing this? Jealousy runs. Then guys get into a fight constantly. Then the relationship goes over because they can't stand it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
A lot, especially with our generation.
Oh yeah, I've heard like Miss Lex like talk, or not really friends, but like people she goes to school with talk about like, oh my god, he's always got these like Insta hoe pages, Insta thought pages, like big booty bitches and shit. I'm like, it's like, I mean, come on, like you gotta have a little common sense.
It's not like they're not looking at other stuff too. So it's
right?
Like a hypocrite.
Well, I want to ask you guys this question. What are the excuses that, or I should say reasons, what are the reasons that the guys give for, you know, following an IG thoughts page versus what a woman says, you know, why she's following this particular hunk on IG?
For guys, it's mainly like, well, I'm just looking, like, I can look, but I'm not gonna touch, babe. I still want you, I still love you. I'm just looking, I'm never gonna actually meet her. I'm never gonna actually fuck her. So why can't I just look?
Fair enough. Miss Lex, what are the girls saying?
Pretty much, it's like, oh, we're just looking.
So wait a minute. Okay, hold on. Hold up. So if both people say we're just looking,
yeah,
how can they end up being mad if both people are saying the same thing?
That's the thing. That's where the insecurity goes into.
I think it's like, okay, that motherfucker, he's looking at all those girls. Fine, I'm gonna start following all these guys and stuff, and I'm just gonna use the same logic.
That goes with the logic, but it also goes to like females like being insecure. But it's more like, oh, if he's looking at this, it's because he wants that. I don't have it, so why is he looking?
Yeah, I could see that. Sadly, I don't think it helps. You know what I mean? Here's the thing. If you focus on what, if you say, well, this is what I'm not, right? You focus on what you're not. How come, you guys notice that I believe a lot of relationships in modern day are pessimistic because they don't really focus on what they have. It's always, what else is out there for me to get, right? To latch on to, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that pessimism is what breeds a lot of this insecurity and distrust, because it's like, if you look at a lot of couples, right? And you said, hey, this goes back to what Miss Lex just said. They, okay, the attraction is there. At that point, let's just say the trust is there, right? And then what was your other factor? It was the trust. It was the attraction.
And if you're in love with the person.
In love with the person, right? Like, so let's just say that they are within those three tenets right then and there, right? And then you ask somebody, okay, so what makes, like, when does it change? What makes it shift, right? And I think a lot of it boils down to pessimism, right? Because you're instead of saying, look at all these things we have, you know what they do? They look on social media and go, but look what they have, right? How come they're on a yacht and we're not? How come this? How come her booty doesn't, shake the way that IG thought's booty shakes, right? Rather than going, hey, you see what I'm saying? Rather than saying she's got something nice, but it's not as nice as that. And so it's like people are always chasing a ghost in these relationships. And, I want to ask you this, though. How does being in a long-term relationship in the modern day, how does that affect other people around you, right? Like when you guys go out, I'm sure you guys have been out places where there's a lot of bitter single women, especially German Shepherds.
Or the Chihuahuas, especially where they are, right?
Oh, yeah. I know there's going to be lots of Chihuahuas chirping. Like, what the fuck? Like, when you check out your AirPod because you didn't know, you're like, wait, was something? You look, check if there was earwax in it. There's no earwax. It's these damn Chihuahuas just nipping at your ankles and shit. So,
or shooting you dirty looks.
Dirty looks. I mean, do you guys get that when you're out and about, just like living your life as a couple, and like there are singles that don't like it?
Yeah, we do all the time. Like, Mr. Lex and I are very affectionate. Like, we kiss, like, just pegs or hold hands, and just people just stare at us.
Because they're uncomfortable, that they're not used to seeing, actual affection anymore. It's all just.
Or, like, we're laughing, and sometimes he tickles me, or vice versa.
And me, I'm loud. I'm loud. I don't care what others think. I just live me and do me, and I make my jokes, and I am just loud, and I don't care who's looking, because I'm having a good time with my girlfriend. And I don't give a fuck what anyone else thinks. And if they have a problem with it, they can say something to me, but I don't care.
Now, let's go back for a quick second. You said people are looking at you and giving dirty looks. Give us like demographics. Who are these people, right? Age, gender, what is their situation?
Usually it's girls like 25 and
I'm like, I've seen
30s.
I've seen it a lot when we go to the gym.
That is true.
Yeah,
that is true.
Like,
the gym.
So at the gym, like, literally, I'd say 4/5 of the girl there are there to get, smashed. They're like, I had this whole rant about this fucking girl. I'm like the skinniest twig I've ever seen in my life, and all she's doing is squats and on the squat machine. I'm like, bitch, why don't you work out other parts of your body instead of trying to make your ass? And that's not gonna get you a dude, honey. You're not gonna, magically find a Captain Save-A-Ho because you have an ass if you're a fucking skinny twig. I'm tired of of just, you know, they're trying to get this attention, and that when they look at us, they look all like, oh my god, and they give Miss Lex some side eye, like that fucking bitch or something. And I'm like it's not gonna save you. You're not gonna be saved. You're gonna die alone. All you're good for is just one or two things.
Yep.
And they wear makeup, so it's
And it's why are you wearing makeup to the gym?
Oh yeah, well, you know, the gym is the new club, right? Yeah. The clubs are done, the bars are done.
It's 24/7 too. It's like we'll go at like 6, 7 in the morning, and you'll see some fucking thought like wearing a booty shorts with a crop top with a full makeup, like she looks like she's about to go to the club. I'm like, and then all she's doing is like walking or on the squat machine. It's like,
yep,
there's other parts to your body.
No, Lex. No, there's not. There's not, Lex. The only, you know what, right? No, actually, Lex, you're right. There are other parts. Left butt cheek, right butt cheek, right? There's two parts of a woman's body, the left and right butt cheek, right? Because I bring this up because I want to ask Miss Lex this. Miss Lex, I know your mother is older, and you know, when women come from like the old school, they have a certain level of nuance to relationships and what those expectations are placed upon women. And one thing that I noticed about women of a better time, right, was that they basically told women, you got to offer more than just a piece of ass. You see what I'm saying? Miss Lex, what do you think about the fact that like a lot of modern women, they haven't figured out the reason why they're losing is because it's like going to college and someone goes, what'd you go to college for? You go, no, I didn't go to college to learn anything. I just went to college just to physically be there and go party. So someone's like, so what was the point? Women aren't coming with wife skills, right? Girlfriend skills. So the only skills they come with now are sex skills, right? Like, look at this ass clap. So, Miss Lex, are you starting to realize kind of like what, you know, people like your mom would say, which is you got to offer a man something where like he doesn't want to go outside. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Since a young age, my mom would always be like, just in general, even before like guys, is like, know how to cook, make sure you clean. I've been cooking since I've been 10. Mm-hmm. So it's like, know how to do this, your laundry and everything. And then when you bring someone in and when you're in a relationship, make sure you make it a home and go from there. But then other girls are just, God, they're just doing any guy they know.
Do the twins even know how to cook?
No, they don't.
Okay. She has like the cousins we've talked about, mentioned before. Like one of them,
they're my age.
Yeah, one of them is maintained by her simp that's like inherited a company, like a gardening company from his dad. Mm-hmm. And he buys her all this like luxurious crap, iPads, makeup palettes. They go out all the time, but it's like the chick doesn't know how to cook, even though her mom is a really good cook. All she does is she goes to school and works maybe part-time, but he's still maintained by her. Mm-hmm. All right, she's maintained by him, sorry, I should say. And does she do anything else?
She helps clean.
Well, that's about it.
It's an upgrade.
But and then the other twin, what does she do?
She works all the time.
Works all the time and like wants to get fucked.
Mm-hmm.
She broke up with a dude.
I get it, but it's been like 4 years since they broke up, or 3 years. You would think.
It's been 2.
2 or 3 more. It's enough time.
Enough, yeah. Well, the reason why I bring this up is because one of the things that I've noticed is that a lot of videos that go around, and you know, like I said, it's usually bitter women. And let's face it, like the incel type guy usually is mad at the guy because like, oh, well, I deserve a woman too, but they don't want to do anything to get a woman, right? They're gonna walk around, be socially awkward, right? Rather than talk to a woman like a human being, these guys are thinking that they're in a fucking anime, right? And they keep losing, and they go home with blue balls and start jerking off again, right? Because what else are you gonna do, right? In the same way that women don't have those womanly skills to get a man, the guys are lacking those skills to get a woman also, right? And I think that's why we're kind of like at this impasse. I want to ask Miss Lex this though. Miss Lex, what do you think about the fact that like the women that are learning, especially from their ratchet single moms, they're learning how to get a man, but what do you think about the issue of retaining your man, right? Because, you know, getting a relationship is not that hard, right? As a woman, you just need to look good, be nice, you know, smile. It's not that hard to get a man, right? But when someone says, how do you keep one? I think that's where a lot of modern women are failing. You guys have been together for a while. So, Miss Lex, what are the things that you do personally to keep Mr. Lex?
to keep. I don't know how that's worded, but
It's very simple.
and generally it's just like I do the laundry, I cook, do dishes. I do a lot. Think about it.
I mean, I know because I'm working so much, so
Well,
it helps me out. Like, you know, I
Always
cook when I
has-
can, and then she'll do the dishes, or I'll pick up clothes after ourselves. I'll take out the trash. So
I
it's like a
take out the
partnership.
trash.
Well, we
Damn.
I make the bed, make it look homey. Like make
Mhm.
sure like he wants to come back to me. Be happy when he's here, not like stressed out. It's like, oh, now I have to deal with her. It's like no.
I'll say it's a nice feeling when you can get home and just, you know, take off your clothes, take a quick shower, get into your pajamas, and just relax and just feel at peace.
Mhm.
And, you know,
After eating a good meal,
Yeah.
then we cuddle and just watch TV until I sleep.
or
Oh.
or when we're pulling all nighters and I'm helping her edit her thesis, and I'm like, babe, you need to learn the definite article.
We should show the video.
We should. There's a video that I'm going to send you, Drex.
Uh-oh.
This shows our interaction. She was recording herself to go over her
It's
thesis, presenting because she did her master's thesis.
I
She
passed, by the way.
Yeah, she did pass. And so we were recording,
Good job.
going over it, and I stopped for a second and started going off on a tangent, and it's just a perfect encapsulation of what it's like every day with us.
Mhm.
It's so
Of our
funny.
dynamic.
Well, I love hearing that because one of the things that you just said, right? You're keeping him engaged in like what Lex described, though, Miss Lex, about like when a guy comes home. You know, in the Latino community, you know, we all know Latin chicks are crazy. However,
Amen.
a guy will be able to tolerate crazy if there's something on the back end, right? He's like, yeah, now I got to deal with some crazy, but damn, the house is nice. Damn, this food is good. Damn, she rubs my shoulders. You see what I'm saying? There has to be something to counter that. Whereas people in other communities, Black people, what ends up happening is when you come home to like chaos and like anger, dysfunction, you know, like stress, right? Men don't want to come home to that stress. So like that's why it's always interesting to hear what women are saying they do to make that man feel welcome and at home. Like you said, men make, you know, men are there to build the house or to buy the house. Women make it a home, right? That's the role. I do want to ask you this though. I'll put you guys on the hot seat. What is the best thing about your partner? Miss Lex, go first.
The best thing?
Yep.
It's cooking. But apart from that, it's just, I don't know, he makes me happy when I'm with him. Makes me smile all the time. Usually from my household, it's more of like, we're very serious people. Like, very serious.
Her
And
family's
he's the
very,
one-
very dry. Like, they're very dry, very to the point. I've really taught her how to be loosen up and have fun and joke around because her family's been very serious her whole life. And so I think that joy and comedy that I bring to her life, you know, really does bring up her spirits. Like when she's stressed out, I'll make her laugh about something. I'll find something and she'll just start dying of laughter.
All right, Mr. Lex, how about you?
It's okay. I'm sorry, I'm gonna put you on the hot seat, babe. I'm gonna put you on
What?
blast. So it's breakfast. I just made like this quiche. And you know, I cooked it. I made like toast and cheese, and we're eating breakfast. I'm looking at my phone, looking at my things, and Miss Lex is eating. No, she's eating her breakfast, and I look to the side, and she's tearing up. She's watching something on her phone. Like, what are you watching? She's watching some bicycling anime, and she's crying and eating her food. And so her mouth is stuffed full of food, and she's crying. She's like, oh. And it's like, babe, why are you crying? It's a bicycle.
Oh my God.
Anime. How can you? Like, you don't get it. You have to understand the why.
You're such a girl.
That. It's so cute. Oh my God. It's like I literally said, oh my God, I love you. I that was the cutest thing in the world. And she does stuff like that all the time. It's the funniest thing in the world. I shit you not. A bicycling anime. It has all the anime tropes and everything.
Understand. Okay, just leave it be.
Oh my God. I didn't even know they made those. Now hold on now. Now I gotta put you on the hot seat again. Mr. Lex, what's the worst thing about Miss Lex?
Well, she's Latina, so she's crazy.
That's a given.
Then again, though, I kind of like the craziness. I don't know. I think I've been conditioned to like it. It's in my DNA. Like I find that white women are too like submissive, and they're like, okay, honey, yes, no. I want her to like snap at me, bite me, do something, be mad at me. I like it. I don't know what it is. I'm a masochist for pain, I think.
You must be, man. Yeah.
I think it's in my DNA, honestly. I don't understand. I think that other Latin men will testify to that they like the spiciness, the feistiness.
Mm-hmm. Now, Miss Lex, what is the worst thing about Mr. Lex?
He's impatient. He cannot wait for anything.
That's true.
Oh.
No. Then he gets
Drex, this is like. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, Drex, this is like a job interview where they always ask you, like, "Oh, what's the worst? What is your biggest weakness?" It's like, man, I don't want to answer that question too truthfully.
Yeah, right. Well, the thing is, though, is that like because this thing, when you're in a relationship, right, the longer you go, the more you learn each other's strengths, weaknesses, the things that make you tick. Like Lex said, you probably know when she's a little stressed or whatever. So like that humor is what gets her, to like refocus, right? She laughs, it allows her to relax, and then she can go back and hit it. Whereas Mr. Lex may have something else that he needs to be his kind of like his overcoming trigger. And the reason why I brought that up though is because when it comes to best and worst things about our partners, one of the things that gets lost in the shuffle is that like we're trying, right? Like we're still trying. And you guys know this better than most anyone else, which is we're in an era of instant gratification, right? And in this era of instant gratification, what prompts you to stick it through thick and thin, right? Like, to push through that adversity. Because Miss Lex, you said earlier, a lot of people, especially women, are single women, bitter single women, are always telling, so you can do better than him, Miss Lex. He ain't shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, how do you guys push through, any of that adversity where, let's face it, we're in an era where people just swipe, right? You know what? This relationship is not working for me because the person burped too loud, right? I got to get rid of them. Any little thing. Mr. Lex, you know what I'm talking about. Like, we've talked about this in the Discord where, like, throughout time, the longer you live, you'll see women break up with good dudes. Like I say, it's usually the women who are calling it quits. Because they have more opportunities to date than men. So a lot of times they'll call it quits over the most petty thing, right? You're like, really? Like you broke up with a good guy over he chews too loud? Like that's a reason to break up? Damn. So what do you guys think is allowing you guys to like really push through that?
For me, I know the type of girl she is. Like I said, I've known her since I was in 7th grade. I was 12 years old, and so was Miss Lex when we first met each other. And throughout that time, I know how she's been. She's never changed. She's never put on a mask in front of me. So I know the kind of person she is. And she's a very loving and kind person. I think the kindest person I've ever met. Someone who just, genuinely does care about everyone around her. And when you get to see that side of her, like, the gentleness, the sweetness, the kindness, it's something that despite all the fights we may have, because no couple's perfect, and I'll admit we have our fights, every couple does, and sometimes it can get kind of bad, but as long as that we understand that we love each other, and if we apologize and forgive each other for the things we may do wrong, I think that's important. And I just know, full disclosure, like I know that if God forbid, knock on wood, it doesn't work with me and Ms. Lex, I know that I'll never find anyone like her again. I just know. I have accepted it. I understand that there is no other person like her. I'll never get 2 unicorns in one lifetime, as long as I try. So if God forbid, again, knock on wood, something doesn't work out between us, I know that I'll end up alone, because women nowadays are not worth it. And the fact that I have a quality woman in front of me that I got blessed with, through all manner of measure, like, I shouldn't be, like, statistically speaking, I shouldn't be with someone like her. And, the fact that I met her from so long ago and we had that attraction to each other for so many years that it became how it is now, it's like, it's a blessing, and I don't want to squander that away over some, petty, dumb shit. Like,
well, Mr. Alexa, we talked about this way back when, I've told guys, I said, if a guy literally lists one standard, he automatically eliminates at least 80% of women. Like if a guy goes, no tattoos, you just eliminated 80%. You met Miss Lex. Miss Lex is a virgin. Do you know that alone eliminated 99% of women in the United States? I'm not joking though. I'm not joking when I say that number. 99% of women in the United States, when someone says, Mr. Lex, you got a virgin. How many guys can even say that in 2022, right? In
None.
2015, nobody. So they're like, well, damn, yeah, unless they're like, 14 or something, but it's like, well, damn, in your adult life, really? Like, damn.
Yeah,
So what you're seeing is, you're right. Like, you're probably not going to meet two unicorns, right? And you're right about that. Now, I got to ask you guys this as a last question. What would be your advice because somewhere out there's going to be someone who's reliving your life, right? There's, two friends, right, who knew each other. You guys said in middle school, right?
Mhm.
What would you say would be your advice to that guy and that girl who have met each other, middle school, maybe elementary, maybe early high school, and they're contemplating moving forward with a romance? Because as we all know, a lot of people don't like to date their friends because, like, what if it goes wrong? Then I lose my friend, right? What would be your advice to them?
It's so hard because things have changed so much from 12 years ago when we
Till
first
now.
like we had smartphones back then, but they weren't like how they are now. Like 12 years ago, like it was like the iPhone 3 or 4.
Mm-hmm.
And not many kids had phones back then. And nowadays it's social media and everything. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So I don't even know if I like.
But in general, for a relationship to even work, or even like for us when we started, we were still friends.
Yeah.
It's more of like, what do you want out of the relationship? That's the first thing. That's the first thing to talk about.
How early do you think guys and gals should address that? Like, what is the expectation? What do you want out of this?
I'll be honest. I did it not even a week into the conversation.
Yeah, like when we started talking,
like,
after years of being friends, we started talking in April of 2018.
Mm-hmm. Give or take.
Yeah, April, May time, maybe March. I don't remember exactly. Something somewhere around that time. So we were talking, and Miss Lex was up front. It's like, listen, I want to know, like, where's this going? Do you want to just be flirting, talking? Do you want to be exclusive?
Do you want to talk to other people? It's like, because he was in a different state, so I was like, I don't want to.
I was getting out of the army, so
be with someone if he wants to, do his own thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not here, so I was like, am I wasting my time? What are we doing? So I was very upfront. I was like, just tell me what you want, and we'll go.
And she said it first. She told me straight up. She wasn't here to just I'm you either are or you aren't.
Yeah, I think that a lot of people need to not be so vague, because I think Miss Lex handled that right, because a lot of times, I mean, we've talked about this in the Discord. There's way too much of this like vague shit, right? Like because when someone asks what are we, or like what is the expectation, there should at least be like a general like this is where I see it going in my head, right? Because let's face it, most guys know. I mean, I look at someone like Nick. Nick met Lady Rackets in 2002, and he married her in 2004. You see what I'm saying? Met her in 2002. He was engaged in 2003. Married her in 2004. You see how there was like a progression.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, I mean, let's face it, Lex, you know this. A lot of these modern situationships, we have that term now, right? Because what it is basically just friends with ben's, sort of, right? Not more benefits and less friends, right? It's usually just smash buddies. So it's like people are like, so what are we? You need that clear distinction, and that's why I think it's important that especially like the young girls follow like the Miss Lex rule of engaging with a man, because let's face it, if you don't have that conversation and you don't know where each person stands, that's how these girls, I'm sure you agree, Lex, that's how they rack up body counts, right? Because I think I'm going somewhere with this guy. The guy's like, wait a minute, you thought we were supposed to be getting married or dating? Nah, man, I'm just doing this because you're available, right?
I agree. I think that's like the thing that a lot of women fall into the trap in. They think, I found a really nice guy. I think he might be the one. She's thinking, she's thinking about wedding bells and everything. And this guy's like, damn, that's some good head she gave me.
Yeah. Oh, facts, man. Damn. Damn.
I would always.
I'm going to hell. That's what Kevin Sam used to say. I'm going to hell. But yeah, Miss Lex, any last words about something that just some piece of advice you can give couples out there, people who are struggling, anything?
Actually, I want to hear what Miss Lex was going to say, because I know I took up a long time about like why she still stayed with me after all this time. I kind of want to hear.
You're curious?
I am curious. Yes.
That was smooth.
Yeah, I figured he was gonna ask that.
I see you so well.
Well, one thing for sure, I was always taught if you're gonna go into a relationship, try to make it last.
Mhm.
Like I was taught, marriage is usually the ideal thing you want. And I know in any relationship, good or bad, it's like a marriage. If I'm gonna be married to you, good or bad, I'm gonna be with you, no matter what. I'm gonna stick by you, even though you have your issues.
Yeah.
I love you anyways. But it's just more of working it. Depends how far are you willing to work with your partner overall. If you
Mhm.
have this bond and you have this trust, then honestly you can work it out. Unless like you do something super, super like bad, then that doesn't work out.
Now, I want to ask you this though: do you think that the only reason why a couple should break up is like what I refer to as the unforgivable shit, right? Because I started thinking about like marriages, like when I was coming up in the 80s and 90s, I didn't start seeing parents split until I learned about this later, right? When you discover the red pill, like what age people tend to be getting divorced or splitting, and there's like this thing where it's like there's a certain age bracket, right? You know what I mean? Like when the kids are a certain age, because I mean, let's face it. Do you think that there's just like there's like a sense of back in the day, and I do believe this. I do believe that there were women who were in some shitty relationships back in the day, right? And men who were in some shitty relationships. But they're like, let's just stay together for the kids, or because the church, or because there was a reason, right? Whereas now, we just kind of say, well, things aren't going right. Mr. Lex, it's time to just bounce, right? Let's just leave this shit behind. And I believe that like if a relationship is working well enough, I think you can communicate. But also, I think that like I don't think people should break up unless it's like I said, the unforgivable shit, right? Like, I've known Nick forever. Nick told me about when he was working at the bank. There was a husband who took their life savings and blew it on a newly found midlife crisis crack habit. No bullshit. Imagine like a successful dude, right? Just woke up one day going, I'm going to start smoking crack. And you see what I'm saying? Unforgivable. You see what I'm saying? Like anything less than unforgivable, like, or you find out that he had like 8 babies by 8 women, because he decided, my mind is crazy, and I just went out and had to go do whatever. Or she decides, oh yeah, this baby's yours, and you try to do a DNA test and it's not. You see what I'm saying? Unforgivable shit. I think anything less than unforgivable shit, I think couples should work through.
Yeah, I agree for sure.
I agree.
Even Mr. Lex and I have talked about like what are our breaking points. Like what, and like even in the beginning, I told him, I was like, you do this, this, and this, like it's over.
Yep.
And I asked him too, I was like, what are your things? He didn't really have an answer to it though.
So just I don't know.
But
I kind of just know, it's like back then I didn't really know as much as I had some like red pill awareness because of the army teaching me seeing through women's bullshit, but I hadn't fully seen the reality of situation. And then like when I started thinking like, I think it would be if I find out that my child isn't my child, and after years of forming a relationship and attachment, it's only to find out that's not my flesh and blood. I think that would just devastate me. I think it would just kill me emotionally inside. I don't think I could ever recover from like a trauma like that. I think I think it's gotta be like the worst.
I think that's like every guy. Yeah, I think every guy, like that's like the ultimate betrayal, is that you grew attached to someone that's not your flesh and blood, and and these women know, right? Like these women, that's what's the old saying, mama's baby, papa's maybe, right?
No.
Women know, so yeah, that is one of those things. But like, yeah, I appreciate having you guys on and discussing, from the long-term relationship perspective of my relationship, because you guys seem to have something that's working, which is a rarity nowadays, because as we know, everything is kind of like some fly-by-night, instant gratification, swipe left, swipe right, slide into DMs. You guys have talked about that in the past. These dudes, these bitch-made simps that Lex has to stay on the lookout for, because they start sliding into Miss Lex's DMs like, hey, Mr. Lex ain't shit, dirty mackin'. So yeah, you dudes ain't shit, but yeah, Mr. and Miss Lex, you guys are the shit. So yeah, thanks for coming on.
Anytime.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely.
All right, we'll see you guys out.
Have a good one.
You too.
Peace out.
All right, Bowser's up next.
All right, Bowser next up.
What's
Bowser.
up?
Bowser, you know what you represent in this two-part
Oh, my goodness.
relationship.
Hey man, look,
shenanigans.
I might be the single bachelor in this scenario here, but no, shout out to Mr. and Mrs. Lex, man, because they did it right, man. You know, like he got lucky, he did, and you know that's not the kind of odds you're gonna see. Like you don't want to bet your money on those kinds of odds if you're betting some money, man.
Oh
Now,
yeah,
hold on.
Mr. Lex will be the first person to tell you that
No.
he knows what he has and values it.
No, but you know, like I might be, you know, the single guy on here, you know, like more along Drexel's lines kind of thing. But you know, you see it when you see it, you gotta respect it.
Yep. Well,
And
hold on
so-
now, Bowser. This was crazy though. This is something that a lot of people don't know. This is a fundamental difference between men and women. When men see, it doesn't matter how red pill they are, right? If a man sees a relationship that's working, he goes like this.
Yeah, absolutely.
He bigs up, like he bigs up the fellow man. He doesn't sit there
Sure.
like only a hater sits around going, "It's gonna eventually not work, bro." You know, there's haters. We all know there's haters, but like,
Haters are like the really jealous, you know, petty, real petty.
yeah,
You know,
bitch
it's like, you know, if you're handling your shit, man, you don't got time to hate.
Yeah, facts. Well, the reason why I bring that up is because, like, you know, what Miss Lex was talking about, where, you know, she's saying most of the fuckery that she gets in her life about, like, you know, basically relationship sabotage, right?
From other women,
it's
right?
single women. It's single,
Yeah.
bitter women trying
Yeah.
to sabotage healthy relationships.
Of course, because I mean, like, you know as well as I do, man. Like, women might be friends and all, but deep down, they actually all
They're
hate
grimy.
each other. It's a biological urge to where, you know, they're competing for that seed that they want, you know, and so that's why they're all fighting for the same top tier, you know, the man, you know, like Kevin Samuels used to always say, you know, the high value man.
Oh yeah, the HVM.
You got 90% of women competing for 5 to 10% of all those top tier men, and those numbers don't really add up, man. There's gonna be a lot of women that are left holding the bag.
Whoa! Shh, Bowser! Shh! Fuck is wrong with you? Don't tell these hoes that. Look, we need them to keep competing so we can keep on doing what we do, which is smashing and never cashing. Because when it comes to relationships, I mean, like I said, I believe, like I said, for the most part, as overall, it's over. I want to ask you this though, Bowser, as the Bachelor in this charade. What is the thing, right? You got red pill versus blue pill, right? What are your red pill versus blue pill observations as a bachelor?
I mean, I got red pilled because you know, my mid-20s, you know, I was in the whole dating scene. I was actually dating women, you know, sort of long-term relationships. Well, I mean, I a year, maybe year and a half, and then. But then, like, you know, mid-20s, I got to the point where, like, I go to bars, pick up women, you know, like, dating, everything's going fine, and it's like, oh, don't call me at this time because my husband might answer the phone. Or, you know, if somebody calls you, pretend like you don't know me, and it's like their boyfriend, and it's like, so, you know, you get to that point where it's like, I thought it was just like, okay, once in a while, it's like, shit happens, okay, but then it was like every single time, it's like all of them. I mean, at least in my case, I'm not saying that it's for everybody's case, but in my case, it was like, yo, like, if I'm gonna be the side dude, I'm just gonna be the side dude. You just play it up, right?
Look, a lot of people don't know, man. Being the side dude, I've talked to Andrew about this. Shout out to our man, Legal Mindset. It is side dude is the ultimate red pill, right? More than like a guy can have you in some like red pill courses and shit, but if someone says, "Hey Bowser, what's the one thing that just made you go like, what the fuck?" It's being the side dude.
Well, I mean, it was like I saw it like this, and I was like, if they were doing it like that, like, what about all these other girls when I was in my early 20s? Like, how many of them were doing the same shit? I mean, maybe they were still too young and didn't know any better, but you know, by the time you get to a certain age, it's like, But
I feel you on that. Well, now I want to ask you this though, Bowser. Is there anything about relationships that helps you now, right? Like you said, you were in your younger years, you're doing the relationship thing, but like, what is it that you learned from those relationships now, right? That now that you're a bachelor, right? Because you could go date. Like this is what I tell a lot of women out there. There's a lot of dudes out here, right? Because they get, there's this whole thing of like guys who are free agents, or there's that certain acronym, right? And they start saying like, oh, these are the guys who are losers in their mom's basement, blah blah blah. But then when they start looking at guys like Leo DiCaprio or George Clooney before he finally got hitched, they start wondering, well, why aren't these guys getting married, right? What is it that you learned in your relationships?
Learn, to all these guys out here, man, learn what a shit test is and learn how to navigate that. Don't put up with it. Because that's what it is, man. Like you get shit test from day one. Pretty much from day one, you're gonna get some kind of shit test to like buy this, or buy me this, or do this, or something. It just goes, and they're gonna push you and push you and push you until you've had enough. And by the time like most people have had enough, it's like they're done, and they don't want to have nothing to do with you anymore. So dudes need to wise up and figure out what the shit tests are. I think you should have an episode on that, man. Shit tests. Absolutely.
Yeah, there's I know there's a lot of guys who have made videos like that. We'll have to address it. We might have to find some videos to react to like this. Yo, bro, this is a shit test. Like movie. I don't give a damn. It's a movie clip, because there are lots of movies out there that are red pill. I just did a show with Meth, and we were talking about we did a dissection of the movie Friday, right? And I didn't even know this until I was much older. I know this is no lie. All the times I watched Friday, right? I had seen the movie a million times. I never noticed at the very beginning of the movie when she's talking to Craig on the phone, right? You remember this? Who the fuck you go to the club at last night? Remember that scene?
Yep.
Okay. Did you notice that the guy was in the bed while she's accusing him of cheating? See, but remember though, because the camera's right here, right? So the camera's here on her, so he's kind of off in the background, right? So because I'm so focused on her and her, all of her motions, this is no lie, I never noticed the guy in the background, right? And then one day someone goes, yeah, man, then the dude in the background, I was like, dude in the background? And I went back and watched, I was like, oh shit, you can clearly see a dude in her bed, right? Stretched out.
She's giving him the shit test while she's got another dude.
While she's got another dude. And that's the thing. It's like,
but that's that scene. It's like the Wizard of Oz, man. You never knew that the Tin Man had a gun in the one scene or whatever. Like, you go back and watch him, like, he had a gun? Like, what?
You're right. No, but it's wild though, because Bowser, this is one of those things, right? As a bachelor, this is a serious question, right? Because go ahead.
Well, on that shit test thing, like, if you learn how to pick up on a shit test early and you call it out for what it is, like, you get a lot more respect right up front. You get the respect. Because if you let them walk all over you and then you let it go for a long time and then you call them on the shit test, they're gonna call your bluff. So the faster you pick up on it, the better situation you're in.
Well, it's funny you say that, because that actually leads into my question I got for you. Is that one of the things that a lot of guys out there who are living the bachelor life, like I said, we're not talking about the monk guys, right? Monks are a whole different thing. I should actually have a hammer hand on for that, because I guess you represent the bachelor, I represent the bachelor, but then on the flip side of the bachelorhood is the guy who says, no, I'm just checked out even from sex, from whatever, right? Like any kind of interaction, right? For the most part. So, but the question is this though, Bowser, as a bachelor, right? Because we know about married guys, and I can't wait to talk to Marv about this so he can dissect the married guy situation, right? Which is
sometimes you feel bad for him, but at the end of the day, you really don't.
Yeah, dude, look, you know how grimy it is out here, but the question remains: what is the ease on one hand, or the difficulties of a bachelor getting sex in the modern year?
I mean, it depends on. I mean, it kind of depends on what you're looking for, man. Because, like, I mean, like what I'm like late 30s. So, I mean, being in your late 30s kind of established a little bit. Like, you know how you said bars were dead to pick up women. They're not. That's where you go. Like, you can pick up some cougars like real easy. 40s, 50s. Like,
wait a minute. Look, now, Bowser, when I say to get women, what I'm referring to is guys. Okay, like so my dad was born in 52, right? If we were to go way back in time, right, way back, you can meet a woman who could potentially be your wife at a bar. You see what I'm saying?
Mhm. Yeah.
Because,
No.
because
Not
men
now.
and women went to a bar to socialize, not use each other for foodie calls, but to socialize, to size each other up and say, hey, are we compatible? Well, if we're compatible, hey, let's go on an actual date, right? Okay, so when I say bars are dead, no, bars are dead to find what Mr. and Miss Lex found. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Those days are over. Remember, I don't know, Bowser, you heard about, like, in our parents' era, people who are husband and wife right now met at a club, right? That was not unusual. So
my
the
parents
club
are about the same age. They were born in
Yep.
49, so but pretty much the same age as your parents, 70,
Yep.
early 70s. And they met in high school.
Yep.
And so, like they grew up, there was like 2,000 people in their town, middle of nowhere. And then, it worked out. They've been married for 53 years now.
Damn.
Right? But I meant to ask you, man, because that story that you started off with about that mixer where no dude showed up.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure that I heard a similar story about this like a couple of years ago. That this isn't the first time that's happened.
No, it's not. No. This has been happening. Shout out to RPM. RPM did a story. It's happened in Australia. It happened in New York, where like they had like women in Australia. I think it was one man showed up in Australia to a mixer, right? One.
Mm-hmm.
In New York, they canceled it because no men showed. Like, this has been going on. And someone goes, because remember though, we read stories, right? The reason why this one stands out is because we finally see it. You know this Bowser. As we talk about relationships, right? There have been complaints on both sides, from men and from women, for forever, since the dawn of time, right?
Mm-hmm.
The reason why this episode is so necessary is because up until now, with social media and camera phones, we never saw it, right? You heard about it.
Oh,
you heard a friend of a friend, right? Maybe it was an anecdotal evidence, but the world at large could not see what was going on. You see what I'm saying?
Well, people also want to put, there's a lot of embarrassing shit that people should probably keep to themselves.
Yep.
But they put it on social media because they can get that clout. They can get their sympathy points. They get the sympathy points because there's always going to be some really, if some dude is like, oh, she cheated on me, had kids with some other dude, and I raised the kids for 12 years, and there's always going to be some girl who's really down in the dumps and be like, oh, let me give you a pity fuck kind of thing, So they're going to do it because they're playing the numbers.
Yep. Yeah, shout out to all the brothers out there who got pity fucks. Shout out to all you broads out there that went ahead and gave it to them. Because look, we need to start giving these women more respect, okay?
Right.
Because look, Bowser, as you know, as a bachelor, right? You are better when full balls get drained. You're like, God damn, I can focus again. Sometimes you use, like I said, there are nuts on this earth that need to get busted to stop all these damn crazy mass shootings. Stop dudes from acting crazy. Nuts need to be busted.
There's a reason why they call it post-nut clarity.
Yeah, I bet you. There should be like a little test, right? They should start giving guys a Rubik's cube, right? And say, solve that shit in 60 seconds. Goddamn, I'm just so frustrated. And then look, Bowser, dude, bust a nut.
5 minutes after that, he's probably fucking.
And then you can give a dude with a 3rd grade education, right? He's working on a chain gang. This motherfucker ain't never even read a damn book other than Dr. Seuss. You hand him a Rubik's Cube after he busted a nut. That motherfucker like this.
Yep.
All of a sudden you're going, well, how did he get so productive? Because that nut got busted. People
that don't watch the show, to everybody who doesn't watch the show, man, like Drex has a good point, man. There should never be, like, incels shouldn't exist. It shouldn't. Because I played, like, I was here's a little story, man. I was at a bar in Fells Point in Baltimore a few weeks ago, and I was with a white boyfriend of mine, and we were leaving the bar like 1:30 in the morning. As we're walking back, we see these two black chicks, and they're just like taking photos of each other, like trying to pose for Instagram and all that shit. Mm-hmm. And I don't even say anything to my friend. And I literally just walk up to this girl. I put my arm around her and shit, and I fucking smile for the camera and throw a fucking peace sign or whatever. Arm around her, everything. And her friend was like, oh my goodness, oh, let me get some pictures of you guys, whatever. And my friend looked at me, his jaw dropped, man, and he was just like, what the hell? He's like, why would you do that? And I was like, what do you mean? Why? Like, what the hell? Like, we're drunk, we're having fun, man. It's a joke and all this, but it's like you saw the response, right? Like,
Yep.
You should know this kind of thing. Like,
oh yeah, Bowser, you and I know it, man. I remember you told me because I mean you sent me the picture. You sent me the picture in Discord. I couldn't help but laugh because I'm like, we know this, right? Like Bachelor dudes know this. Oh, Marv, you ain't shit, white zaddy, dude. Especially if you're a white dude. This thing, I got questions about you if you're a white man in the current year and you say you're an incel, right? There's too many every woman on this earth who is not white wants white dick, right? Arab women want white dick. Asian women want white dick. Black women definitely want white dick. So you can't tell me as a white dude, I'm just not getting any.
Careful with that though. With that story though, the key part of that story is they were by themselves. So if there's a bunch of thug dudes with them, don't do that shit because they're gonna simp the same way that white dudes simp whenever a fucking white chick talks about banging a black dude.
Yeah,
I've been
there.
The same fucking way, and you're probably gonna get jumped. So,
oh no, you gotta be mindful of your surroundings. But
sure.
You know, Bowser. Here's the thing, though. When you're living the bachelor life, you know, we talk about Miss Lex, things like that. As a bachelor, because people start going like, "Oh, you must be lonely," but everyone has their own perception of what happens to a bachelor. There's a day in his life, all that stuff. How often do you long for a family, if at all? Right? Do you ever think about like what would it be like, and how often does that thought come in mind?
Pretty much ever since I was like, I don't know, 12 or 13. I was like, I'm still, even to this day, like I still I want a kid at some point, but then reality fucking kicks in and snaps back, and I'm like, all these chicks that I've been with are crazy as fuck and they're cheating hoes, so that's why I don't have any kids, because I'm smart about that. Like, keep your pull-out game strong, son.
Yeah, next question.
That was for you, man. That was.
Of course. He's like, I always poke fun of myself, man, because of course, when you're a bachelor, this is no lie. We did the live chat the other day, and this is no lie, man. This is the reason why having a daughter is so hard. It really wears on your soul.
To be honest with you, man, because I have nephews and nieces.
Yep.
And ever since my sister's kid, man, my niece, she's 15 now. She's gonna turn 16 next month, man. Like, I love that girl to death. And ever since, I was like, dude, I could definitely see it. Like, I'm one of the weird ones. I'd probably rather have a daughter than a son.
Shit.
I mean, and look, man, I know it sounds weird, but I don't know, man, because my nephews are like real young though. They're only like 3 or 4, so
it's
real young. So I don't know. When they get older, I could see that getting older, but like as a child, I feel that, I don't know, I could deal with the young the girls better than the boys.
I see what you're saying.
Because I know how I was when I was a kid, and I was an absolute fucking nutcase.
Oh yeah. Boys are very rowdy, right?
Right.
They're very rowdy when they're young.
Yeah.
Well, the reason why I say that is that, Bowser, we did the live chat. My daughter, I bought her a brand new iPhone. I bought her a brand new AirPods.
Don't get me started, man. I know, man, when you were talking about Anime Matsuri last year, and you were like, how much money you spent, I'm like, dude, I know, because, man, every time, because, like, it was a couple weeks before, man, like, I was, like, my sister and her husband went to a concert in DC, and she's 15, and they're like, she is not staying at home by herself, because we know she's probably going to try to have some friends over and throw a party, so can you come over, take her out, go to a movie, do something? And so we went out, and $200 later, like, can we go to the store? Can you buy this for me?
Oh, yeah, it hurt.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Like,
well, what kills me is that they have to be in your business. This is what people don't know, man. Girls have to be in your business. Boys don't care. So
yeah,
we're doing that live chat, and I mentioned I'm a fan of Valentina Nappi, the porn star. This is no lie, Bowser. This is no bullshit. I said that because remember, she has the headphones in, right? She goes like this.
You're like, oh no.
I look, Bowser. I'm like, wait, let me get this straight. I got you some brand new shit so you could never listen to one of my conversations, right?
And then
Okay, I don't know how they it's like they pick the exact time that they need to hear you say some degenerate shit, right? It's why you love your girls, right?
I mean, my niece is a little different because she doesn't give a shit with what I'm doing. She literally just wants to unload all of her problems on me because she doesn't want to talk to her father about them.
Of course.
Look, man, my sister, dude, I get along with my sister the best out of all my siblings. Her husband's all right, but he's a little bit of a beta bitch.
Oh, I'm
so
shocked.
It's like, but he has no authority. Like, he just lets you do whatever.
Of
and
course.
I at least like try to like tell her no, make a point to tell her no, and she respects me for it and literally wants to. She told me all of her fucking problems with all of her friends and all this shit before she even talked to her parents about this stuff. And
yeah,
so it's like,
it does get tough because, okay, when I asked you about, longing for a family, I'm sure that hanging out with nieces and nephews kind of is that a trigger for you, like as a bachelor?
No, because like I understand. I mean, it is what it is, and if I want a family and I want kids, I want somebody that's gonna be there for it. I'm not just gonna dump my shit off on somebody and no. Like it's got to be because like you need time to yourself, man. You can't. It's hard. You can't do that by yourself. Not in any. I mean, you can, but it's not easy and it's not recommended.
It's not easy. It's not ideal. And the other thing is that Bowser, I want you to take us through a typical day in the life of a bachelor, because people always say like this is what the married people go through. This is what the blah 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 blah. What can you expect? Walk us through like the life of a bachelor, right?
Well, I mean, usually, Monday through Friday kind of thing. You go to work, you come home, you do your thing, man, you work, man. But weekends come around, I don't plan shit. I don't schedule anything. Usually, like I get a call from a friend, they'll be like, hey, this is going on. And they'll call me like 2 hours before something goes on.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, all right, cool, man. I don't have shit going on. I'm free. Show up, you drive somewhere, you go, you have a fucking great time. And sometimes they get a little mad, but they get a little mad because like you go places and you meet some people and they expect you to hang out with them. And it's like, well, you're with your boyfriend and you asked me to come hang out. So, I mean, I'm going to go like talk to some people outside of some shit. I mean, you do what you got to do. But it's just a freedom, like I don't have any schedule on anybody telling me what to do, like, drop of the hat, somebody's like, hey, let's go drive like 6 hours away to New York City and go for like 3 days. Cool. All right, give me like 3 hours to pack a bag. I'll be there.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, a lot of people don't like that kind of thing just because I like the spontaneity. Just being able to, because planning things. I've always been at the mindset of where when you plan something, you try to plan for the best, and it never turns out that way. And so I've always been at the mindset where anytime I do anything or go anywhere, my expectations are zero. So it's always better than what you expect, and you're always going to have a good time. If you don't expect anything,
well, I mean, where does disappointment come from? Disappointment is just failed expectation. You know what I'm saying? You expected something, it didn't meet that expectation, so now you're disappointed. But yeah, if you're spontaneous, you just go. You had no expectation. You're like, hey, it was a great time, or it was at least an okay time, right? Now, I got to ask you this though: when you're a bachelor, this is something that comes up quite often. What is your relationship like with when it comes to people like you said who are long-term relationship or married friends and such, right? Like, how are you treated by that? Especially like the woman, because usually like, if the guy knows the guy, and then how does the woman treat the bachelor third party?
Surprisingly well, because actually like a friend at work, man, and he's married for he's in his 50s or whatever. He's been married for a long time, and his wife actually like asks him like, hey, does your friend at work like, hey man, 'cause they're from India, so they're from India and all, and like she loves cooking, and so they I mean, I guess she got excited because she found a white boy that likes traditional Indian cooking. So she's like, she gets excited, like, oh, I'm cooking this. Like, does your friend at work want anything? And like calls him, like, have me talk to his wife. I'm like, oh yeah. Like, but yeah, it's fine, man. Like, I've never had any issues. People don't usually give me shit. Like, I mean, sometimes like, my friend might be a little jealous, but never had problems with his wife or anything, and it's never been anything like.
What about from the
you
opposite
don't.
side, though? Like, if you know the woman and then there's the guy there, does you get anything different from there as a bachelor?
They're usually, I mean, it seems okay, but you can kind of pick up a few feelings, like where it's like, they're a little reserved. Actually, I was at a beer festival at the Baltimore Zoo last month, and I went because my friend, female friend, called me and asked me to go, and it was like kind of last minute. She was like, "Hey, I was like, sure, I'll be there." And we show up, and she's with her boyfriend. Been there a long time, and I don't know if he knows, but I dated her for a little while back in the day, and like we stayed friends and all this. And there's nothing there, but he tries to act cool with me, but it kind of seems like he's a little like, yeah, I don't know, man.
Oh, he's one of them. I mean, that's always kind of that's there's always an undercurrent of that, right? That's just going to be one of those things. Now, I want to get you out of here with this though, Bowser. One of the things that bachelorhood or bachelordom, as they call it, one of the things that the tenets of it is fiscal responsibility, right? And I got to ask you the question: how does this current economic landscape, right? How does it shape your views about like relinquishing your bachelordom? Because like if you look at the cost of everything skyrocketing, right? And someone goes, "Well, Bowser, don't you want to get married and have kids and blah blah blah, or just have a girlfriend?" You kind of like look at the current cost of everything.
I wrote a note about this as you were talking with Leximus, and my whole thing is like, because like I studied aerospace engineering and economics in college, and so if you know anything about the tax code and how you file taxes as single or married, right now with the way the economy's been in the last like 25, 30 years, where both man and spouse or whatever, both partners have to work, it doesn't make any sense from a tax standpoint to get married, to be able to file jointly. What that was you'd have a married couple where one person worked, one person stayed at home, and so you'd have all the income and a zero income, and then you could combine it and get your tax break. Now both people are working, and so now it doesn't make any sense, because one person would have to make a shitload more than the other person for a joint filing to actually make sense. Because most married couples now, if they actually did the math on it, it would probably make more sense to file single than joint. And so, I mean, unless the government actually does some serious reforms on filing for married couples, like, I mean, getting married, the only benefit to it was the tax benefit. And that doesn't even make sense anymore, because, I mean, granted, I'm pretty sure a lot of corporations, this is where I start sounding a little misogynistic, but corporations probably pushed for women to get into the workplace, because now you just doubled the amount of labor force. So now you can start paying people less.
That's right.
When the supply is higher than demand, price drops.
Yep.
And so now you got everybody there. So if it was just mostly men, or a few women here and there working, and it was half of the workforce, they got to pay more for that labor because there's less labor to go around.
That's right.
And so it's an economics thing, man. And I think, well,
do you think it makes economic sense for a man right now as a bachelor to enter into relationships?
Relationships, possibly. That's a very big if. Like, I mean, sure, explore your options, man. Do what you got to do, but like, just go in and take it with a grain of salt. Like with everything, take everything with a grain of salt. Always have like, like, I mean, what's that phrase go? Trust no bitch. You know that one, right?
I mean, You can in this modern era, Bowser. We've been the side dude. We know what it's like. It is what it is. Bowser, any last words, man, on the Bachelor life?
I mean, hey man, it is what it is. I mean, it works for me. I don't know if it's gonna work for everybody, but I don't know. I mean, you seem good with it. I'm good with it. So, hey.
Well, Bowser, we appreciate it, man. Thanks for coming on. Next up, we got our man Marv. Holy hot damn. Marv, my brother from another mother, man. You are going to represent here on the State of My Relationships Part 1. You represent the married man. And in this case, married and widowed, unfortunately. We'll get right into it. Marv, let me ask you this. What is the biggest difference that you see with relationships back then, right? Before smartphones, before Tinder, before swiping, right? And then like how you met your wife, right? Because I'm assuming you met her in a different format than the way people are meeting now, right?
Where it was
instant gratification and shit.
Much different back then.
Describe what it was like back then for men and women to meet.
Well, there was a lot less options, because you go on whatever these websites and just there's thousands of people, especially in a large metro area, so it's like you're always window shopping. Back then it was like, you meet people at work, you meet people at bars, you meet people just, randomly. You had to go out and actually leave your house, not just sit on your fat ass on the couch and drinking wine and swiping left on every dude you see. So, you had to have social skills and personality and charisma, you had to have something. Now it's just like digital prostitution.
Well, it really is though. Like okay, so it has become a meat market, and some people would argue it was always a meat market. I mean, it is. But here's the thing, though. I think that you can have a meat market that is still, let's just say, fair, right? Like people at least knew what they were getting. Whereas back in the day, if I were to look back at a bygone era, a man said, "Well, what do I get out of a wife?" Well, the guy, ideally, this is an ideal, right? It wasn't always the case, but ideally, you got a woman with a body count of 0, or let's say maybe, I would say somewhere between 0 and 3, right? Because you just didn't have access to people like that, right? You couldn't be a village bicycle in the 70s and get wiped up because everyone knew you were a spinster, right?
Well, everybody knew that you were the village bicycle.
Yeah, everyone knew. So it was like that basically kind of got you off that. So that's why women who were village bicycles had to literally, you remember this, Marv, they had to move, right?
Yep.
They would always be, so when a new girl showed up in town, let's say you live in fucking Oklahoma and you're like, "Oh, where are you from?" And she's like, "Oh, I'm from Jersey." You're like, "Why the hell did someone from Jersey move here?" Right. Oh, and that's why she didn't want you going back to class reunions or things like that, because it would expose her as the village bicycle. And Marv, things have happened when it comes to the married guy. So I asked Bowser a typical day in the life of a bachelor. Describe for us, what is a typical day in the life of a married man?
With a good marriage or a bad marriage?
Both.
Well, I had a good marriage, I think, but like my wife usually woke up before me and she'd make coffee and then make a shitload of noise, and that would wake me up.
Oof. And
then she'd ask me if I wanted breakfast, because she's usually making her own breakfast, and then she'd make me food. And then we go our separate ways to work, and then come home, and it was usually like eat dinner together. Either I would cook or she would cook. I mean, she's passed on now, so I can admit this. She was an awful cook.
Ooh, really?
But
what was she bad at, though? Like what
everything.
Was it? Breakfast?
Well, no. I mean, anybody can cook an egg, but like anytime she tried to make anything fancy. But I never said anything because she made the effort to do it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I preferred to cook dinner. Anyway, and then like after dinner, it was, just hang out and watch TV or walk the dogs or, just normal stuff. So,
Well, Marv, I asked this because, one of the things I think that has changed about relationships is that the expectation, and I believe this is due to social media, there's an expectation that like every day is supposed to be like this adventure, right? We're supposed to be going on yachts. We're supposed to be, hiking in some kind of mountain or underpass. We're living this grand life, right?
right,
We're jet skiing today, right? We're,
Right.
we're at an amusement park tomorrow. Every day is an adventure. And like you and I both know, man, that's not really possible when it's 365 days in a year, right? Like it just isn't, right? Like your
No.
normal day-to-day life is going to be pretty basic. Like we said, work, taking care of chores, paying bills, normal
Yep.
kind of stuff. And then
It's boring as shit.
it's gonna be boring. Yeah, yeah. And then you're gonna have like those pockets of like let's call it like what it reminds me of. If you think about a movie, right? The best action movies, if you notice, the best action movies, it's not that they have more action than other movies, right? They have better action. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you watch a Michael Bay movie and shit just blows up for 2 hours, you're kind of like, oh, yeah, that movie sucked, right? Because
Right,
if you just keep blowing shit up, it's like it has no meaning, right?
right.
Whereas a movie like Heat, right, with De
Oh,
Niro
yeah.
Pacino, see,
Oh,
when
yeah.
the action scenes hit, they really hit because it's like the drama is in between, the drama suspense, then the action, right?
Yep. For me,
And
the
that,
action is the juice. Yep.
oh yeah, buddy. Oh yeah. Yeah, hey man. Neil's crew, that was it, man. Yeah, our man Cerrito. But I want to ask you this. What is the biggest thing that you see today that is holding marriage back? Because the marriage rate has collapsed. Whereas like, when you were married, you said you believe you had a good marriage. What do you think is holding marriage back today?
Outside influence.
Mhm.
Just too many people talking to, men, too many people talking to women. It's just like too much social media, all these crazy, I mean, my wife would do that. She, speaking of, shit test, she would, do that. Like every day there was some kind of shit test. You just have to know how to put a stop to that shit.
Mhm.
Otherwise it gets out of hand. But it's just everybody, men and women, they go on social media and they just scroll all day, whatever it's Instagram, Twitter. It's just so much shit is getting into your head that you can't think straight. You got people chirping in your ear all the time. There's politics and everything. It's just people are so wound tight that they just have these unrealistic expectations. They think that, marriage is supposed to be exciting and, it's just not.
Well, I'm glad you brought it in politics because I want to ask you, how does politics play into marriage?
Oh God, it's women are usually more liberal and men are usually more conservative, and if you let your wife watch The View, you're gonna end up divorced.
Oh shit!
But
Oh,
anyway,
what's the other one? The Real, which thank God it was canceled.
yeah, they canceled it. But it's just marriage is about politics now. It seems like it's just it infests everything.
Mhm.
You got all these politicians and they're just trying to tell everybody how to live. They just don't give you enough time to think for yourself.
Mhm.
You know.
Well, you heard about that story. I know you're a football guy. You heard Travis Kelce, the all-pro wide receiver of the Kansas City Chiefs. He was dating that German Shepherd. And you remember Cam Newton talked about what he expects out of a wife, right? Like, a
Right.
woman that would be
Yeah.
wifely, right? He's like,
Right.
yo, a submissive woman. She cooks, she's clean, she's fit, she's, all these good things. And women were like up in arms, right? Oh, I ain't gonna submit to you. And then Travis Kelce's girl went off on Cam Newton, right?
Yeah.
Just went crazy. She didn't have the foresight to understand that, yo, if you go off on a guy, but your man has the same views as that man, guess what he's going to do to you? Get rid of you, right?
Yep.
And do you believe that that's one of those things that's starting to happen now? Is that like, you're talking about with politics. One of the things I've noticed about couples, doesn't matter if they're married or not, but it's like these women, like you said, whether it's like the View and all this stuff, this like liberal thinking, this like crazy, I guess you could say progressive thinking. I think it's starting to pollute relationships because let's face it, Marv, you've heard these stories, right? Where everything seems to be going good, and you hear these guys go, "Then she just became a feminist," right? Like the guys, like, what the fuck? Like we're oh now I'm woke now. The guys like looking like we call that the bait and switch, right?
Right.
Now, Marv, what do you think about the bait and switch about relationships that you've seen? You've talked about marriages that you've seen in the past. What do you think about the bait and switch in marriage? And is that one of those things that you see as inevitable, or is it something else?
It's always inevitable, and women will all even my wife tried that shit, but it's just these guys get married and then they have the thing called the honeymoon period.
Yep.
And once that honeymoon period is over, shit gets boring. It's just like
how long do you think
life.
that is, Marv? How long do you like for all the guys out there listening? Give like a rough estimate of how long of the honeymoon phase is.
It's anywhere from 6 months to a year.
So you got married on January 1st, right? And then a guy wakes up, and let's say it's January 1st that next year, maybe it's September, October.
Congratulations, you're married to Satan.
So what happens after the honeymoon period? What comes next?
Oh, that's when the sex stops.
Yeah. Marv. Oh,
What?
shit. Damn. What do you mean sex stops? There's guys out there that think that's why they got married, right? That they're going to have an exclusive sexual partner. Isn't that right?
You're a dumb motherfucker if you think that.
Okay, Marv. I'm not going to let you just say that shit.
Women get bored.
No, Marv, you don't say.
Yeah, they get bored with you, so you got to keep it interesting.
But Marv, I was told women will love me forever. They're going to love me for me and give me exclusive access to Peace League for as long as I live.
They only give you access if they respect you.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't make them respect you, then you ain't getting no pussy.
Mm-hmm. And
you're
the
in
guys
the bathroom with the hangina and the Victoria's Secret catalog.
Oh, that's a horror. The movie American Beauty. Do you remember Kevin Spacey's character when he says this will be the highlight of my day and he's jerking off in the shower?
Yeah.
I laughed at that when I saw that movie because that movie came out in '99, right? I was a teenager.
Yep.
I saw it with Nick because I saw every movie with Nick, and I remember seeing that scene and I laughed at it just because he delivers the line, right?
Yeah.
And of course there's the image. Now that I'm older, though, it's not funny.
No, it's true.
Right? It's sad, right? Because it's funny when you don't know any better, right? You're like, that's so funny.
His marriage in that movie is a lot like a lot of my friends, like my fishing buddies. They're just miserable all the time. And
what do they tell you? Give us some insight, like to the married man. Like what do married men tell other married men?
Oh, it's like they're miserable.
But describe the misery. Like, what is it that has them day to day just be like, Marv, you know what, man? I'm just
nagging, insane demands, money issues, just no respect, no gratitude, just anything you can think of. Is they just fucking complain about it, and it's gotten to the point where I just go fishing by myself. I'm just like, that's enough of that shit.
I mean, you know what, Marv? You know when they say bros before hoes?
Yeah.
you just that guy says it's like fucking me before bros. Fuck that.
Like I have, my wife passed away, and I have a hard enough time sometimes with that shit. I don't need all your fucking marriage stress. It's not my fault that.
Mm-hmm.
You can't make your woman happy.
Now, when it comes to that, though, Marv, right? Because obviously, these guys, I'm assuming, have been married for a longer period, right after the honeymoon phase, right?
Oh yeah.
So here these guys are in the marriage. Have they ever said that anything like changed, like in terms of like her behavior? Like, do they think she's had Marv? I think my wife is having an affair because of reason X.
Yeah.
How often do you get that conversation? What does it kind of consist of?
My middle child doesn't look like me.
Oh. Oh shit!
Why are you texting my wife?
Wait, they said that to you?
Yeah.
The fuck? Like, do these guys not know that there could be any reason why? Like, so here's a prime example, right? I've texted Lady Rackets before, right? And she's texted me. Not in any way what any fucking idiot would think of, right?
Right.
It's usually like pertaining to Nick or something. Because like usually if I can't get a hold of Nick, I'll text her just in case Nick is busy or something. Like, hey, are you guys free this weekend? Because we were thinking about coming out, something like that, right?
Yeah.
But I know what you're saying, right? Because like I said, only the insecure weirdos think that way. Like, why are you texting my wife? It's like, dude, like I was asking about this. Like,
listen, if you can't put your fucking kid's bicycle together for his birthday, your fucking wife is gonna text me because I'm a machinist, welder. I can fucking do that. So stop being a pussy and learn to use your hands.
Right. In more ways than one.
Right. I mean, if you don't know how to make a bitch squirt with your fingers, your wife is never going to be happy.
And now, while you say that, Marv, let me go ahead and let guys know who can see this. There's going to be a lot of bitch-made simps who don't know this. Okay. For those of you who are listening to this, please do not jab women with your index and your middle. Okay? I want you to look at your hand. If you have all 5 fingers because you weren't blown up in Iraq, I want you to look at your 5 fingers. I want you to pay attention to your middle finger and your ring finger. And if you go into go say come here like you're waving to yourself like this. See that? See, okay, so like Spider-Man. You know when Spider-Man shoots a web? For those of you who have seen Spider-Man go like this, I want you to do that in a roll motion. Faster. You see how these fingers, like, yeah. I want you to put them this way, and then in a roll motion, like you're Spider-Man shooting a web. It's the middle fingers, gents, because you got to get these chicks to have all the feels. Marv knows this, but
I can't wait, Drex. I can't wait for all of our fans to run to the nearest woman and make the Spider-Man sounds.
Yeah, she's gonna make that sound when she squirts. Well, and this is the beauty.
Well,
of
it's usually a lot more violent sounding than that.
Oh well, God bless my squirters. I know you had a squirt towel.
Are you cold? Towel. You're shivering.
Yeah, right. Oh. Well, now, Marv, I want to ask you this though: when it comes to marriage, what is the biggest surprise to being married?
What do you mean surprise?
Well, because a lot of guys go in with expectations, right? They say, "Well, Marv, here's what I mean by that." You and I, everybody who's listening, has probably been to a wedding, right? They've been to a wedding reception, and let's face it, the guy and the girl have like this ideal, right? This expectation for what weddings. Oh my God, you're about to spend the rest of your lives together. Everyone's on cloud 9, right?
Right.
Okay. Well, if you have an expectation of what marriage is, and then once you're into, let's say year 1, 2, 7, right? 12, what's the biggest surprise about marriage?
Just how fucking boring it is.
Okay, well, now let me ask you this, though, because that begs the question. The flip side of that coin is, were you ever that bored as a bachelor?
No.
Because, when guys say, because the reason why I ask that is that when I hear married guys talk about how bored they are, I'm thinking to myself, a man should never be bored because, we have a million things to do because we can just create it out of nowhere, right? So I'm like, what is it, Marv, that you believe is keeping married men bored?
I think it's just lack of self-confidence. They just get beaten down. They don't know how to you have to learn to keep because if you women, especially when you marry them, they're constantly shit-chesting you. It's like you ever watch a pack of dogs and there's always one dog nipping at the alpha, trying to challenge him a little bit, but not trying to start a fight.
Yeah, not directly. Yep.
Right. That's what women do. So you just have to let them know that, like my wife would be like, "Oh, I'm hungry. Let's go somewhere." And I'd be like, "All right, let's go here." I wouldn't ask her where she wanted to go. I'd say, "We're going here." Because the first time I asked her, she's like, "I don't know."
Yeah, I know.
And if I'm like, "Okay, well then we're going here." And she never ever said no after, she just said, "Okay." You know, that's
Well,
that's
they're natural followers. They're
Right.
followers who think they want to be leaders. That's really what women are in a nutshell. Which
It's
is
a
the same as
shit
children,
test,
right?
you
Yeah.
know.
If you ever notice it, Marv, when you think about children, children think they know what's best, right? They're like, oh gosh, fuck that. You know, if I were an adult, or if I was, you know, like, that's the way kids think, right? They think they
Right.
know what's best, and then when you give them that authority, they're like, shit, I'm responsible, and then they don't
Right.
want it anymore, right? They only
Mhm.
think they want it up until they get it, and then they don't want it.
Right.
Now, you know, one of the things that's funny though is that you talk about the guys who come to you complaining. Marv, what do you think are some of the keys to making marriage work?
You have to keep your wife's respect. The second you lose that respect, you're done.
All right, there's going to be a guys out there who ask, how do I do that?
You call them on their bullshit. Like, you kind of got to be like a balance between a asshole and a nice guy. It's difficult. Like, I'm not gonna say my marriage didn't have like its rough spots, but
Mhm.
you have to pay attention to the details. It's not what they're saying; it's what they're not saying.
Yep. Now, it's funny you say that because you said, like, you know, when it's gone, it's gone. What about the guy out there whose wife lost respect for him, right? The guy, like, you know, the guy.
You're
What
done.
what can that guy do to kind of be like, well, what do I do if she kind of is treating me like shit, Mar? What do I do?
Well, how long has she been treating you like shit? That's
Let's say this guy's been in I'm trying to think, what would be like a good year for a marriage for a guy to be kind of beat down? Let's say within 10 years, right? Where like
oh,
he's
it's less
got
than that.
kids,
It's 5 years.
you know. So the guy who's in that position, right? What can he do to kind of, you know, reignite the spark and make his wife respect him again?
Oh shit. Well, one you can start putting your foot down. I mean, don't like just become an authoritarian asshole, but you got to strike a balance with, you know. She says, "Oh, you can't go play golf. Just go play golf."
Mm-hmm.
And she's gonna piss and moan and complain about it, but just keep doing it. She'll stop eventually. Now,
Mm-hmm.
one of two things will happen there, though: is she'll just divorce you, or she'll start getting that respect back. It depends on, you know how women are super emotional and and all that complicated shit. It just
Mm-hmm.
depends at, you know.
Well, you know what I would suggest in that case, like let's say a guy wants to go play golf and she's, you can't. Yeah, he just goes, right?
Yep.
I would tell him just go. The next time I'm about to go play golf. And right before she gives a claim, do you want to come with me? Want to hit some balls? Want to try?
Yep.
You see what I'm saying? Because if she bitches when she's there, that means don't bring her again, right?
Right.
If she likes it and she's kind of like, damn, and think about it, this is a time when you can start rubbing your dick against her from the back, right? Helping her
Well, I
learn how to get
mean,
her positioning, right?
there's a reason my wife wanted me to buy my first boat. You know, she liked to be out in nature, if you know what I
Mhm.
mean.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Listen, man, Marv, there's people out there who don't understand public fucking. I think you know what I think it does for women. I think it lets them know that they are with a man who's an animal, who's spontaneous, right? Because let's face it, no one, no man who has sex out in the wild, right? That's beyond the bedroom, right?
Right.
What that's telling her is this could happen at any time, right?
Right.
At any time. And this is why that's important. This is a pro tip, fellas. If you just start taking your chick anytime and just smashing, because you tell her at any time, whenever I feel like I'm hitting, right?
Yep.
She's gonna keep her pussy right. She's gonna always make sure that she's right. You see what I'm saying?
She's not gonna stray.
Yep. Yeah. So all of a sudden she's thinking, damn, anytime this shit could go down. I respect this guy. He's getting me tingles,
Well,
And
it's like, yeah, my wife would cook eggs, and I just walk up behind her and just stand there right behind her sometimes. She never
Yep.
knew it was going to happen, but she
Yep.
liked it.
Yep. She doesn't. And that's the thing. You have to always keep them on their toes because you know this, Marv. They're emotional. They respond to emotions, not like rational. Like men respond to rational shit, right? Like,
Right.
oh, okay, there's this, and then there's that. It's just a simple. It's like commands, right? Like reading an instruction manual. They don't respond to that. They respond to zig zag, right? Any which shit. I don't know what's gonna happen. That's what they respond to, right?
Yep.
And
Got,
Marv,
got to
go
keep
ahead.
them on their toes.
Oh, you have to. You have to. And let me ask you this though: what is the best part about marriage, and then what's the worst part about marriage?
Oh, the worst part is probably the monotonous cycle. It's just, Because after that honeymoon period wears off, it's just kind of like, the same thing every day. And then you
Mhm.
kind of do the married, go to Home Depot and look
Ugh.
at fucking flooring. And it's like, well, we have a brand new house. Why are we doing this? But, it's a balance between keeping them in line and treating them, and it's just boring. But the best part is, when you come home and she comes home and you just kind of like happy to see each other and you have somebody you can vent about your day to, which is usually the woman venting at you,
Mhm.
and then, it's just there's always somebody there that you can count on if you have a good marriage. And
I guess it if.
I'm just speaking from my personal
Mhm.
experience, but
I get it.
it's
Like,
just hard to describe, If you have a good woman, it's just you can't describe it. And then, you'll do anything to like protect that woman and, keep her safe and
oh, I understand that. But now,
yeah.
Marv, I got to ask you this because the flip side to marriage, of course, is divorce, right? It's
Yeah.
what looms over all marriages. You talked about it earlier. Like, hey, you can do this, but hey, you got to know what your woman is because she could wind up just taking you to the cleaners, right? And divorce.
Right.
Now, because divorce is the flip side of marriage, the question I have for you is this: you have that threat of divorce, which is a wealth transfer, right?
Right.
How does that affect marriage versus when you're just it's like when you're just dating, that can't happen, right? Because a woman can't like threaten you when you're dating, right?
Right.
So the reason why I say that is like, so Marv, like, watch this. You and your wife get into a fight, right?
Right.
And I'm sure your married buddies who came to complain to you have talked about this, right? It's how guys get cucked, right?
Right.
Is that they're basically, the woman's like, at some point she makes that threat, right? Basically, it's like the ultimate shit test, right? Like,
Right.
either you do what I tell you to do, or because now she knows how much you've invested, right? There's a
Right.
house, there's cars, there's kids, maybe you got a property together. So yeah, well, I can always do this to you, right? What do you have to say about that element to the marriage, right?
First time they do that, you don't say anything. You just go to the closet, get the luggage, and put it on the bed, and just start packing your shit.
Mhm.
And my wife never said that ever again.
Mhm.
Like, I don't care. Do it.
Well, I'm glad you said
But
that
other
because
guys, they act like they got a gun to their head. The state is literally standing there
yep.
with an AR-15 at the back of your head, just waiting for you to jump.
Yeah,
And
well,
then you're done.
well, Marv, one of the things is, and this is something that I really feel for white guys in particular, right? The middle-aged white man has a disproportionate amount of self-deletions post-divorce, right?
Right.
He gets raped, right? He gets raked over the coals. His life is basically over.
Right.
And I feel for these guys in the sense of like, bro, it didn't have to go this far, right?
Yep.
And Marv, what would you say is like the overall arc of, like you said, we talk about expectations in marriage, what the day-to-day in marriage is.
Right.
What can you say about just like the fact, like the overall arc of a marriage of being like, hey, look, temper your expectations, make it this is the ways to keep from being divorced, or like ways to, let's say, minimize the blow, right? Because like people talk about prenup this, prenup that.
Yeah,
Or
those are
useless.
useless.
I've told Nick that. Nick doesn't believe me. I said, Nick, they literally judges wipe their asses with prenups.
Yeah. They don't give a shit.
Yeah, they don't give a shit about prenup. Oh, she signed under duress. Game over.
Right.
So now, Marv, this is the reason why this is so important. Women come to me, and I'm sure they come to you, and they always want to know about, Marv, do you ever consider getting remarried, right? Finding the right one, your soulmate. Marv, tell the guys out there, right? Like I said, you had a good marriage, right? Happy for you.
Yep.
But what are the odds that a guy gets to a marriage and it's not good? What's in it for the modern man, right? You know what the modern woman is like, right? They got guys in their DMs.
The
They're probably
chances
doing
of
some
it
shit.
happening, or just
Oh yeah, what can a modern man, when a man says, like, let's say you have a son, right? He's like,
Right.
Dad, I'm 50-50, right? It's a coin toss. I really want to get married because I want a family, and I want, I'm a traditionalist at heart, But I see what's going on out here, man. I'm seeing twerk videos. I'm seeing TikTok videos about them, how these women are using men. Maybe I've seen my uncles get divorced, raped, right?
Yep.
They've seen all this stuff, but they're still on a coin toss, right? The rational side is at war with their emotional side, right? What would you tell that guy? That young man out there who's asking Uncle Mar for advice on this?
Well, first you smack him on the right side of the face and said, "Did that hurt?" And then you smack him on that left side of the face. Did that hurt? Either way, it's gonna hurt.
Yep.
Don't do it. Because when I got married, I met my wife. It was the early 2000s. It was a long time ago. We still had fucking Motorola flip phones and Nextel push to talks. There was no social media. There was none of that shit. So it was a very different time, and women were a lot different back then.
Do you kind of like long for that in a way, or do you kind of like the idea of like now the flip side to that is that modern women, I don't like to call them modern women, they're just basically showing what women always were, because had we given smartphones to women in 2001, right?
Yeah.
We can all agree they probably would have been the same, right? If we gave it to them in 1850, they probably would have been the same. You see what I'm saying?
You gave them women smartphones in 2001, they'd be twerking on the pile of 9/11. It's just.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
It's like, what are these hoes doing?
You think, Marv, you know it. You know how, like I said, barracks bunnies, all these bras out here getting ran through.
Okay.
You know what
Let's
it's like.
Let's not treat them so bad. They do provide a service.
They're giving their lives for this country, Drex.
Oh, they give their lives in 3 holes.
5-minute warning.
They are like bowling balls, so.
Oh yeah, look, they got 3 holes that need to get plugged, right? They got to get filled. It is what it is.
You stick your fingers in all 3 holes and then throw that bitch in the gutter.
Oh, Drex, the vanilla pudding cup from TFM.
Oh yeah, man. Oh man.
And that's just her asshole.
Oh, you're too great. But Marv, do you have any last words on any guy out there that's thinking about marriage and just the whole arc of you were a married man? Any words that your wife is watching this from heaven? Any words you want to say to her? Because I know these modern bitches ain't shit, Marv. It sounds like you had a decent woman. The fact that she tried to cook, the fact that she cooked for you, Marv, I'm gonna be honest with you. The fact that she was motivated just to do that, I'm telling you, these modern women, they can't cook.
Well,
they don't want to cook. They don't want to do shit.
The thing is like it doesn't. Men have such low standards. It's not the fact that you can't cook. It's just you don't try. You can't clean. You don't try.
Mm-hmm.
You can't suck dick good, but you don't try.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'll second that one, Marv. Holy shit! Just make me a hamburger helper. I'd be happy.
They can't do that.
My wife would have fucked that up.
I'm not lying, man. These shit,
she would have tried.
Yeah, it's like you try. It's like because Marv, I've worked with guys, right, and I've seen what they eat, and I'm like, here's the thing. I know, and I will give a special shout out to the Latinas. Of all the ethnic groups, it seems like the Latinas are the best at still having cooking ability, right? They still have some culinary skill, and I've seen a lot of guys who are not Latino. Who, when you see what they're eating, I'm thinking to myself, bro, that your wife allows that? Now I want to ask you this though, Mar, before we get you out of here. As a widower, what's the major thing that you've seen in, obviously you had a wife,
mm-hmm.
and now here you are in this position where she's gone, and you see what's out there every day, right? You see what's out in the world. You see, I'm sure women are trying to come on to you. We talked about that in an episode.
Yeah.
What is your view on that now as a widower, someone who whose wife unfortunately passed?
It's dire, it's bleak. It's like watching the never-ending story and then the horse got stuck in the mud. You're like,
damn.
Oh fuck. This sucks.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. It's just like I got lucky, and then I see how women were kind of acting hoish back then, but now it's just like, are we in Sodom and Gomorrah? What the fuck happened
it's
in
way
the last
beyond that.
Fucking 15 years? What in the hell?
I say went into hyperdrive. You know what I'm saying? It really went like I said, Marv, hoes were hoes back when, right? Like I grew up, in the 80s and 90s, and I saw enough to be like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The only difference was everything was kind of self-contained, right? Like,
Well, yeah, you know
you,
who the hoes were.
you know, the hoes were. I mean,
They
you were right.
They had
You're
the
right
whole
there.
uniform, but then
Yep. But now they
Now
all look the same.
it's like, okay, I'm surrounded by sluts.
Yep. Yeah, it changed, right? Like here's the thing, Marv. You know this. The girl who looks like the little nice girl.
Oh God,
You already
pussy
know.
mouth.
Yeah, she's doing it all. So you're like, so a guy starts thinking like this. That was one of those. I mean, hell, depending on how you view it, it's a red pill or it's a black pill. Where you're like, wait a minute. So that little nerdy, cute girl in class, she's over here. She could be shooting some prawn videos, right? She's over here getting bunker busted. She's doing the GBs. She's doing, like I said, these chicks are doing ass to mouth. So when you start seeing all this, and like you said, Marv, the girl who wears the whole uniform does that. The nice girl does it. The career woman does it. When you start seeing this, you're kind of like, so these are my options, and you want me to wipe up one of these girls? Nah, I'm good, fam. With all the legal ramifications, nah.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is one of the biggest, I guess. I mean, my wife said you got to be careful with these women.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, what? What are you talking about? She said, especially, she's like, she warned me about some of her friends. I'm like, God,
damn.
My wife's dying, and she's sitting there like, don't talk to this one, don't do this.
Oh.
I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
Wait, the question is, was she right though?
Yeah, she was right. One of them grabbed my ass at her funeral. I'm like, okay, you're a whore.
God damn.
See, the way I see it is like my wife and I, we worked our ass off to build a life, to be secure financially, to own our own home, pay it off, and have no debt whatsoever. And I'm not about to risk that on some just woman that it's just not happening. I'll be your friend. I'll readjust your back for you, rearrange your guts, whatever you want. But anything outside of that, no, not happening. I ain't gonna be your boyfriend or get married to you, or I'm not even gonna, entertain it.
Well, I think they kind of ruined all that. Now, I want to ask you this. This will be the last question. When it comes to marriage, since you've been through it, what do you think it would take for marriage to basically rise again, like a phoenix from the ashes?
Get rid of no-fault divorce.
You think that alone would do it?
No, but it would be a big help. Because the problem is women know I can just wake up in a bad mood one day and call a lawyer. You don't have to have a reason. It's just, I'm bored.
Yep.
And, if they had to have reasons, and then whoever, like, let's say it's adultery, it used to be, you get the divorce and you claim adultery and you prove it, then whoever committed the adultery is the one that's basically fucked by the government. Now it's just, you're a dude, your wife gets bored, or she falls in love with a dude on Instagram and decides to leave you for a guy on Instagram that she's never met. She's leaving, she's not leaving, you're leaving your house, your cars, your kids, you're just like, you're like one of those old hobos with a bag, like a fucking handkerchief on a stick.
Yep. So it's cartoon style at that point. It's what's kept me from doing. Like I've always said, Marv, the thought never actually crossed my mind ever in my whole life. I never seriously sat there and went, I wonder what it'd be like to be married. And like once I left the dating market years ago, never to return. That's one of the main things that you have to, in order to make any choice, right? The reason why you chose to buy a phone, buy a car, a house, it doesn't matter what it is in your life, right? It had to be better than whatever you had, right?
Right.
It was a better option. You're like, I could walk everywhere I want to go in my life, right, Marv, or get a taxi. But do you know what's better than doing that is buying a car, right? It made my life easier. It was a fair exchange, right? Now I don't have to rely on anybody to get me from point A to point B and back, right?
Right.
But with marriage now and relationships in general, it's like, so what am I getting out of this? And once you realize you weren't getting anything, all you could really do was just kind of go, I'm out.
Yep.
The juice. We always said the juice ain't worth the squeeze, but damn, Marv, we appreciate having you on, man, for the conclusion of the first part of my relationships, man, as our married man expert, we'll say.
I'm an expert on a lot of things, but
oh, look,
not
man,
that.
we ain't gonna talk about hoes out here offering services for services.
Listen,
69 for 69.
69 for 69.
I'm the local handyman. All right. You need your
Oh.
toilet fixed. I need my plumbing fixed. If you know what I mean.
Marv, can you help me find a left-handed screwdriver?
There's no such thing.
All right. On that note, Marv, thank you very much for calling in. Appreciate it.
No problem.
Thanks, Marv.
Take
What
care.
a guy.
Oh, I think I cut him off. But anyways, Drex, any final thoughts? I guess Miss J Love had to check out.
She's about to get smashed. I'm not joking.
Tell us about it, please.
No,
Miss
I
J Love,
texted
tell
her
us
saying Marv is wrapping up, and that was at 11:06, and it's 11:20. She said, "Shit, I can't now. About to fuck FAO." So yeah, J Love's about to get smashed, and she put single life LOL. I can't wait because, like I said, we're going to hear it from the woman's perspective, and we're going to hear some other perspectives also. So that's going to be great with part 2. But I mean, Tim, what we're realizing though is this is the reason why it's so beautiful to get it from every angle, right? The single guy, the married guy, people, because once you can form a full view, which we'll conclude with part 2, then you have to make the choice, right, Tim? Which is what guys are making. Is this worth it, right?
Yep.
It's easy to have an idealized view, right? Like, no, Tim, I want to get married and have children and live in this house in the hills.
It'd be a little house on a prairie.
Yeah, it's easy to say that and idealize it in your head. Like, yes, that would make me happy. And then you have to go like this. Okay, well, these are the factors, right? Social media is a factor. Like Miss Lex said, there are other women out there that are a factor, other men out there that are a factor. Your finances, the hyperinflation, every little aspect is a factor. Marv said it. Between shit tests, what were the main reasons that come up? Something about sex, right? Which seems to go away after 6 months to a year, or something about money. And it's always something. So it's like, then you got the Dave Bowsers of the world, right? Bowser comes on. He's like, yo, if I want to go somewhere and do something, I just do it. Married guys are getting nagged.
Yeah, more fun being the uncle anyways.
Yeah, the uncle is the best spot ever, man. Oh, God, the uncle gets all those benefits of being able to go out with the kids, do stuff, get that fix, and still be like, but I still get to go back to my life of, just not having to deal with it on a day-to-day basis. So
you send them back when they get too moody.
Yeah, if they get a little crazy, they get moody, so you send their ass back and like, well, that's their problem. Shit, fuck it.
All right. Oh, speaking of a certain lawyer who we're stepping all over right now, people are asking in the comments if you're still good with Nick. Apparently, we haven't mentioned him in a while.
Oh my God, people are. I heard that, and I couldn't help but laugh. I'm like, these people, are they serious? I don't know. I don't know where that comes from. I was like, yeah. So for anyone out there who wonders, there never has been some issue with Nick. I don't know why people. I think it is. I think it's because I wanted to get over there, but schedules just didn't line up, and they're like, I wonder if there's something going on. There's nothing going on.
They must have had some sort of fight.
Yeah, they had a fight. They had a fallout. There was no fight. There was no falling out. If Nick is in town for 4th of July weekend, I'll be over there.
It is. It's been a while since Nick has been on our show. We should get him to call in sometime.
Yeah, we'll get him on. God bless Nick.
But anyways. That is all for this week. We'll have to hit the email bag and news some other week. We're already 2 hours. We're way over.
Yeah, it's all good. Yeah, but there it is for you guys. Like I said, we'll be back. Don't worry. Peace out. Stay toxic, Kings.
Stay frosty.